Join us.
Let's go.
Thoughts can keep you down, pushing deep until you drown, or they can keep you up strong.
Hey guys, I'm Luther Joey, and I'm back with another video. So, also, I've been testing different names and stuff. Are we still cool with Luther Joey? Or do you guys like Captain Multiverse? Or do you guys feel a different name is necessary? Because I'm just trying to move away from that Star Wars notion of, like, I still will watch Star Wars, I still will make content about Star Wars, but it's not my main focus anymore. I'm focused on the DCU and other things, because the DCU is thriving and growing to a place that's crazy. But in this video, we're not talking about that. So first of all, this is going to be a Wednesday Season 2 full review for the whole season. So we're going to talk about both Part 1 and Part 2 and mash it together. And in this video, I want you guys to, give your thoughts on this. But also, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to hit 2K followers by this week. If we do 2K, Monday we're going to be doing a 24-hour stream. So let's hit this goal together, guys, and let's grow together. Thank you. And here we go. So Wednesday Season 2. So we got the first half in late August. So I believe we got the first 4 episodes in late August. Now the first 4 episodes were pretty interesting because, to set the tone, Jenna Ortega had demanded the season would be new and there'd be new changes. And she delivered on that promise. It is a new season. It does dial up the mystery a lot more, and you are getting a lot more stuff. They're introduced to new players, like we get Slurp and all his other key components here that really bring it full circle. And while Part 1 set up some things, there were a lot of criticisms because people didn't know if Part 2 would stick the landing. So obviously we ended Part 1 with Wednesday in the hospital after the attack from Slurp, because Slurp attacked the mental installation, which we're going to get to in Part 2 more. So that was a whole thing. Tower escaped, still wants to truly be a Hyde. There's more at stake there, and we dive more into it in Part 2. So Part 1, I believe I gave it 8.5. I think it's a very solid part. I think there's some good parts in it. So let's talk about Part 2. And let's talk about why I think Wednesday Season 2 is the best Wednesday season we've gotten so far. So, in Part 2, we dive in with Wednesday in the hospital, and of course, I can't remember what the name of the teacher is, but the former principal ends up being the actual spirit guide for Wednesday, and so that kind of interjects a lot of fun into Season 2, Part 2. We even get to see a cameo from Lady Gaga, playing basically who I predicted she would be, was going to be Morticia's sister. And more on that in a bit, guys, because we talk about her towards the end of this episode. Because during Part 2, of course, Season 3 is greenlit, so we got to talk about what happens, where we headed to in Part 2 that sets up Season 3, which we'll get to that. So as these episodes crescendo, so we have 5 through, I believe this is 5 through 8, if I remember correctly. So yeah, 5 through 8. So in episode 5, we really, kind of dive deep. Wednesday's back at Nevermore. She's trying to figure out everything. We learn that Slurp is Isaac Knight from the first half. And we found out that kind of connected from Part 1. And there's some big twists in this season, specifically towards the finale. We find out that Enid is an alpha, which means if she transforms, she will stay a werewolf forever. So that's an interesting plot line to discover. I like how in this, one of the criticisms of Part 1 was that Wednesday and Enid sounded like they were not very close. I loved how they brought them together more here with a lot of the drama that happens with Enid's boyfriends, and then she kind of takes a break. Also, I love when a show proves me wrong. I really thought that Agnes was going to be Evil Wednesday 2.0, but instead they end up being all great friends with the Scooby Gang all together, like she puts it, the Three Musketeers. And she's a delight in this season. I really like how she's utilized. I think Tim Burton did an excellent job directing this with Jenna Ortega's help. This season feels darker. There's more moving parts to it. There's some great action sequences later in the episodes. We get some great backstory with not only Wednesday, but with actually what happened with her parents and how she doesn't trust her parents. Because Isaac actually ends up being, the brother to the sister, and also Tyler's mom. And so we get this trio of villains towards the end of the season. After we deal with, by episode 6 or 7, I believe, we wrap up the Steve Buscemi storyline, aka Randall from Monsters Inc. So that was really cool how that kind of came to be. I liked how that really was wrapped up and handled in a really integral and amazing way. I really liked how that played off. I thought it was really genius. I loved how it was handled. And then the ending, we found out that Thing was actually a part of Isaac, but then when Isaac became a zombie through the experiment, which is why the cliffhanger of episode 7 is they capture Pugsley, because Pugsley ends up being a much bigger character this season compared to season 1. And so Pugsley ended up basically going and basically ends up, being used because we find out that the reason that Slurp, aka Isaac, becomes a zombie is because he's trying to take his sister's powers away from her, and she basically ends up, because she's dying from being a Hyde, the consequences. We get a Hyde showdown in the season. I thought that was pretty cool. Actually, more than once. Now, one of the criticisms I've seen is that Tyler got pushed to the side for this weird brother-sister romance, weird stuff. And while I think the plotline is weird, I will say that I'm not going to defend the writers entirely on this, but I do know why that kind of happened. And I think Tyler was pushed away because there was some controversy between him and I believe the actor Hunter is gay in real life, so that kind of caused some controversy. There's some weird controversy between him and Jenna Ortega, so that kind of happened. But then also, if you remember, when Daredevil Born Again was filming, we had Hunter play Muse. So I think he was kind of split between the two roles, and they're filming both versions. Maybe we'll see more of that playing to season 2. We'll have to see. But what I do know for sure is that you did get to see a storyline, and so one of the twists that ends up happening is that the sister keeps asking the brother when he tries to use Pugsley to use the electricity, because basically during the explosion in the flashback, we find out that Gomez lost his electric powers, but of course Pugsley still has his, and so Pugsley was being drained, and the twist was that the sister actually didn't want to lose her power because she was going to die anyway. She wanted Tyler to lose her power. But Wednesday ends up saving Tyler, and then a fight ensues between the two Hydes, and the sister dies, which, spoiler of course. And then when that happens, it creates this huge chain reaction, this huge fight ensues. We see how ruthless Isaac is, and then Isaac eventually gets defeated by Thing, and we hit an amazing conclusion. But earlier in the episode, when we find out about Thing, Wednesday is buried by Isaac. So because Wednesday gets buried by Isaac, Enid and Agnes had to unbury Wednesday, but unfortunately, Enid has to flee into the woods and become a werewolf pretty much full time, as she learned from the music teacher, who's an ally to all werewolves. And so that ends up being a thing. And so that plays out really interestingly. And now we get our teases for season 2. We get Thing back. We defeat the villains. Tyler is actually picked up after his mom dies by the music teacher, saying that she can help Hydes and that she knew someone who was a Hyde. And so that's kind of that B storyline gets set up. They drive off on their own, set to a violin version of Sweet Dreams, which is really good. But at the same time, Wednesday admits to her parents that she will not be, after Nevermore is no more with the principal gone, we will not be going back to Nevermore, and she won't be going back to live with the Adams. She's going to be going with Uncle Fester to go find Enid. So I really love how their bond was built. Some good surprises in this season. Some epic action. I do think Season 2 is superior to Season 1. Overall, I'm going to score Season 2 a 9.5 out of 10. A very solid season. I think it's far superior to Season 1. I think there's some good action. And I think there's some good surprises and some good twists and some great payoffs. So let me know, have you guys seen all of Wednesday Season 2? What are your favorite parts? And Season 3 is going to be all about going to get Enid And also we know that the sister, because of the deal, we had an episode where Enid and Wednesday had a Freaky Friday situation where she made a deal with which is his sister. So Lady Gaga will be in a much bigger role for season 2 as kind of the main antagonist. So I can't wait to see where that goes. Let me know, you guys are more excited for Tyler's storyline in season 2 or in season 3? Or are you more excited for what happens with Lady Gaga and Wednesday's storyline with Uncle Fester? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Also, rip Christopher Lloyd. Loved how they used his role. Love the dark factor, how dark they made this season. Make sure you guys hit the like, share, and subscribe. Share your favorite moments from Wednesday season 2. What are you looking for in season 3? Let's hope they get season 3 filmed as soon as possible. But in terms of Netflix projects, remember, now that Wednesday's out of the way, Stranger Things is on the way. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day. And I hope you have an awesome and nerdy time.